welcome to episode 283 of the Grip Strip Podcast, the tired out edition of the Grip Strip Podcast. My name is Philip Matthew. I'm your host, and I'm definitely been tired this week. It's been a long week so far, kind of crappy, but glad to be back as always to talk about all things motorsports, football, and the like here. And as always, my co-host and sidekick, the leader of the Fall Brawl League early on after 2 weeks, the iRacing Indy 500 champion, a computer genius, a gentleman and a scholar. His name is Josh Fine. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, doing great, Phil. Yeah, of course. Glad to be back for another week of the show. Definitely not tired out of the show for sure, but yeah, glad to be in the lead so far in fantasy to start off this year, and hopefully get to the end of the year here, and I'm up there at the top. And next year, I guess I'll hold the belt like you do, or did earlier this year. So yeah. Maybe I'll get my name
For
on
the
there.
belt mention. I was ready for
Yes.
the belt mention just so,
Yes.
yeah. It's always
Yeah.
nice. It does say that, fantasy football champion. So it's something that I cherish, and I know Josh has worked very hard for many years in this league. So
Yeah. Well, hopefully all that work pays off this year. That's what I can say.
yeah, there's of course you didn't mention, of course, the ring, and you got the
Oh
ring,
yeah, that's the other part. Yeah.
and then even have the placard too, if you really want to have that too. So you got three things you get for that now. So, but it's very early in the season, week 2. But Josh is doing good work so far. We'll talk about all things football, fantasy football. I'm sure he's going to let us know his thoughts on his Jacksonville Jaguars and their week 2 performance, while the 49ers made Spencer Rattler look like he was back at Cincinnati. But Mac Jones, however many years after everyone said that the 49ers were going to draft him, finally became the starter of the San Francisco 49ers and actually played halfway decent with a bunch of spare parts on offense. They were able to get a win. So we'll talk about all that in fantasy. But before that, we'll talk about all 3 major NASCAR series at Bristol. Even Arco was there. Brent Cruz won that without trying. Cletus McFarland struggled. But Chris Bell goes out there, wins the night race at Bristol. Tire issues were the big story of the night there. Who got eliminated in that first to end the first round. Aric Almirola goes and wins the Xfinity race, holding off Sheldon Creed. So Creed's 15th runner-up finish, which is just insane to think you couldn't finish second that many times. But then he's been in the Xfinity series many years now at this point. And then Layne Riggs goes out there and puts his name up there. It's basically been Corey Heim and or Layne Riggs this whole year, and that doesn't change. We'll talk about the 2026 IndyCar schedule release. It came out here, I think, yesterday. Football, news story that came out earlier this afternoon on Wednesday, the 17th, that Rico Abreu, who's having a great year running for his own team, will be joining forces with his good buddy Tony Stewart and Tony Stewart Racing to run a sprint car next year, which I'll read more details into that later in the roundup. We'll talk about Moto 2 World Rally Championship Supercars, which was a great weekend for supercars if you're a fan of the Blue Oval. NHRA was at Reading last week. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go. and I'm kind of glad I didn't go after what happened to Tony Stewart. But one of his favorite events, a four-wide event at Charlotte, will be coming up this week. Whether he's 100% to be determined on that, but IMSA will be at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the WeatherTech 6 hours. F2 will be back at Baku, which will then lead into the F1 Azerbaijan Grand Prix preview and picks. NASCAR Cup and Trucks at New Hampshire, preview and picks for both. Josh will let us know all things going on, iRacing, gaming, and the sim segment, and then we'll call it a day. Let's go with the Bristol night race, the Bass Pro Shop night race at Bristol, which early on, about 30 laps, 25, 30 laps into the race, it started becoming a free-for-all with all the tire issues that were going on. AJ Allmendinger had actually qualified on pole for the first time in 10 years. It was his first oval pole in 13 years. So it's pretty crazy to think. But, credit to him, credit to Colleague Racing there. 4 of the top 6 were buried from 30th on back. And then speaking of Barry, Josh Berry's nightmare first round of the playoffs ended up in flames. While he had a decent car too, no less, so it's unfortunate for him. Run down the what is it? The top 10. There's a few other people we'll get to, but the top 10 results here at Bristol. Christopher Bell gets his 13th career win and his 4th win of 2025. Brad Keselowski, former winner of this race, tried to move him, but with this car, it just sends you forward. Finishes second. Zane Smith, with a 3rd place finish, ran up front for most of the night. Ryan Blaney won stage 1, finished second in stage 2, finished 4th. Pizza Face started 22nd and finished 5th. Corey Heim from basically tailback finished 6th, his best career finish in the Cup Series. Carson Hocevar 7th. Hurricane Hocevar. Alex Bowman, who was literally the only person that had a chance, I think, late in that race to possibly bump themselves into the next round, finished 8th. Chase Briscoe, 31st, started 31st, which is crazy to go from 31st and finish 9th, but tire issues probably helps with that. Led the second most laps on the day to his teammate, Keebler Gibbs, who started 4th, won stage 2, led the most laps, was behind Briscoe trying to enter pit road, but was going too fast on a green flag sequence and ran into somebody and caused a wreck, and that basically was the end of him. Christopher Buescher, 11th. Byron was 12th. Tyler Reddick. Here you got John Hunter, another top 15 finish. Tyler Reddick was 15th. Chastain, 19th. Richard finished 22nd, got stage point. SVG, 3 laps down in 26th. Bald Spot Dylan, 4 laps down in 28th. Gumby Cindric, as I mentioned, there's one of those guys from 30th on back, finished 30th. Hamlin 31st, Larson 32nd. Darrell Walsh Jr. had stage wins in both stages to salvage a 34th place finish. And Elliott was 38th. He slammed the wall. And then Barry, as I mentioned, finished tailback, as Rusty Walsh would say. I mean, there's the tires were the big story, Josh, and Bell and Gibbs have. I mean, Gibbs has dominated the round. They won all 3 races in this round with their 3 playoff drivers. 3 different, totally different scenarios, I think, in terms of, Briscoe went out and opened the can on everyone at Darlington. Hamlin, I think it was a lot of strategy and good pit road work for him to go and be in a position to win that race at Gateway. And then this race, in a lot of ways, was a free-for-all. The Penske cars, I think, were very, very good and could have contended given timing-wise. Bell did not get any stage points the whole entire day, so the fact that, and he started 9th, so the fact that he ended up, and he only led the last 12 laps of the race, so, timing, or last 4 laps of the race, and he led, he had, Bell, yeah, so 4, 5, yeah, he'd only led 7 laps earlier in the night, so, the notion that he was able to clutch up there, it's not surprising. I think Hocevar probably was hoping to hold on there and possibly get that first career win. I also think that Keebler Gibbs probably was hoping he was the guy could go out there and get that. But late in the race, of course, you have that caution for Bubba and Custer. That was the only caution in the last 103 laps of the race. So, considering how many issues there were with tires, after the caution lap 312, which went 17 laps, which has been really bad. That was the Elliott incident with John Hunter. They only had 1, 2, 3, 4 cautions. Bubba was wrecked with Richard. That's Hamlin and Byron and Allmendinger. So a bunch of them guys, but for Christopher Bell, it's not surprising goes out there and gets a win, but considering there were other drivers that probably were a little better throughout the night, putting himself in the right place at the right time, which is something that Christopher Bell is known for, and going and getting a win, getting those additional playoff points, which will be crucial as they move on hopefully through the next couple of rounds of the playoff.
Yeah, this was definitely a really wild race. With the tire wear, nobody expected it going into the race because they did practice and the cars didn't show any signs of any issues happening, despite them talking. Goodyear talking about bringing in a new right side tire for the weekend. There was no indication, and they go into Saturday night, and then extreme tire wear starts happening and caught everybody by surprise there within the first 30 laps or so of that. And obviously a huge factor in the race with all the cautions that happened with debris, accidents happening, guys needing in order to stay on the bottom lane to conserve their tires, guys trying to jump into the bottom lane and not having the opportunity, like what we saw with Chase Elliott and John Hunter Nemechek there. Chase getting taken out there, trying to get back in line with John Hunter, and John Hunter not really giving him the space to do that, I guess. SVG had a bunch of cautions where he was involved. Bubba Wallace there at the end, Cole Custer there. There was a lot of cautions throughout the event because of this, extreme tire wear throughout. You saw cords and everything, and then also just the green flag cycles that we were able to have, which it's interesting to have that, but at the same time, you he basically couldn't do anything outside of, it seemed like outside of 5 laps. Once you ran hard for 5 laps, you're basically done there. And saw guys going, throughout the field, going up and through the field because of that and everything. And Ty Gibbs probably had the best chance for him to win here in his career so far, but then overshot pit road on entry there and completely missed it. So that was terrible for him. Basically, completely ruined his race there, and didn't have an opportunity to win. That opened the door for some other drivers, of course, there. So just a lot of action throughout the race. Of course, the Chase Elliott caution put him on the bubble there for a bit. The tire wear rubber debris then had the cause of the fire for Austin Cindric. That put him on the bubble. And then, of course, Alex Bowman there, who was on the pole for this race, or not on the pole. It was AJ Allmendinger, but he did have a good, decently good qualifying effort there, 15th for Alex Bowman. But Bowman going out and having an opportunity to potentially win this race didn't play out for them because they didn't have tires there at the end to take that final pit stop, and ended up being unable to hold off the guys on new tires. But Chris Bell at the end goes out here and wins this event to get him into the round of 12. Haven't heard from him in a while here in terms of winning. So Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota sweeps this first round of the playoffs here, and now they go into the round of 12 here. So for the extreme tire wear, for me personally, I guess it was pretty interesting to see this happen again, like what we saw at 2024 in the spring for this track. But I don't know how much you can really buy this because you saw tires wearing out, but I feel like I remember the days when they complained about tires wearing down to the cords constantly, and now we're seeing that here. Now it's like, oh well, you need to set up the cars to be able to run and everything correctly, and then just the amount of yellows that we had because of this, because we had 137 laps of caution here in this race, and I think a lot of those cautions were extended because they didn't want to wear out the tires so much and everything. And we had the first lap, 14 laps of caution for debris for the first caution. That's insane. And for like a spin, 10 laps of caution or whatever. So it's crazy how many laps of yellow they had in this race because of the tire debacle. And I think another thing is just the way the tires are wearing right now. You see like old Bristol or previous races where the construction of the tire, the way the tire, the composition, the oils, the chemicals they use kind of made it more sticky, right? And you kind of saw how the tire would wear into the track taking rubber. Or this, it seems like this tire, whatever reason, like tends to kind of disintegrate into dust and everything. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing the tires kind of chunk the way that they do. Is just the construction of, I guess, the green tire that they're using is just has a different degradation type, and it doesn't allow it to wear like it used to. Now you kind of see it chunk into just turn into fine dust in a way. So that was kind of interesting to see. But I don't know how sustainable can you make this type of racing at short track like this at Bristol, because you don't really have a chance to see people run hard. Like the previous night at Xfinity, Connor Zilic, you saw him running hard, and you saw other guys running hard there at the end, but obviously they couldn't pass really well. But here, there was passing, but it was because people were basically just running half throttle trying to conserve tires. So I don't really know. It was interesting to watch, but I don't know if that's really the direction we should be going in. So obviously a lot of the industry loved it. I mean, yeah, there's something to love about tire wear, I guess, but felt like, yeah, this is again a bit much like it was before, and everything, because I thought it was a good thing for tires to, for the track to take rubber and wear throughout the entire race. So but then again, what do we know? We're not the ones making tires and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's all a factor of the next gen car, but everything. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound too negative or anything like that, but it was just kind of, it seems like a thing that's more of a one-time deal rather than, can we expect this to be the case next time we go to Bristol, or next year when we race there at night? Because I feel, it seems like that this, I guess the tire that they're running at Bristol is very temperature dependent, and that's not always going to be the case here for a track like Bristol.
Yeah, I mean, if they ran this time in the summer when they used to run this race, meaning like a month ago, they probably would have had a higher ambient temperature. Maybe it lays rubber down instead of comes apart. Also, looking at the intermediate, running an intermediate package on a short track, I don't get why. The notion of how they make the bumpers, I get that, in terms of the rear bumper, I think that's part of the reason why Kurt Busch isn't around anymore as a driver, how stiff the bumpers are. The notion that you can't move anybody over, uh, the bump stops, having them things so far solid, sealed off on the ground. I was watching the 1990 race at Bristol, which was Ernie Irvin's first career win, and he had to hold off Rusty Wallace for like the last 50 something laps of that race. Earnhardt had the race won, and then he had a tire issue. Dominated, had a tire issue. There's a bunch of people falling out of their seats in that night, and you think about, they had the cars, they had the clearance, how much you had, like a foot of, you basically had about 6 to 8 inches of clearance on the front end. You had all kinds of travel, things were bouncing. They didn't drive good at all. They were super loose. Those are early days of what do you call the I don't know if they were on radials at that point. I think they might have been by 90, but I'm not
Probably
sure.
1991.
Yeah, I feel like 91, because that was before the Mike Rich incident, and then they had all the pit road rules and stuff like that going on. But the cars were hard to drive, they were loose, and they only had about 450 horsepower probably back then, and now they have 600 something, and they're running around there sealed off the freaking ground, can't go anywhere. So I mean, they're not going to bring it back because there's too many stupid people running the sport. But there are certain things that just seem like logical that should be tried, but they won't. I mean, having gimmicks and having Goodyear, and I called them Goodyear because they actually did what they were asked. And the guy, their PR, whoever their PR person was that to talk to the TV, was like, NASCAR asked us to do this, so that's what we did. They were willing to eat it in terms of car tire delamination for the brand, but I think there's way too many instances recently of these tires, especially on concrete tracks, basically, turning into dust, like you said. And it's why races at Dover suck on the regular, seemingly. It's why Bristol races are meh, that they have to put freaking PJ1 on the low line. Frankly, and then they tried to shave off, smooth off the top line. It just seems so gimmicky. They ruined, I mean, Bruton Smith and, Marcus Smith, they're good for the late Bruton Smith, whatever. They've ruined so many racetracks. I mean, that's just yet another example. The only one that wasn't ruined was already a dump before they even started was Texas. Other than that, they destroyed Charlotte. They've, in a lot of ways, made Atlanta into a gimmick, and then now you have Bristol too. Like leave it alone. It's a novel. Something would be nice if you just left it the hell alone. But whatever. Points. Moving on to this next round, since in terms of oh god, excuse me. Yeah, Bowman gets knocked out. Was only right now, because of the reset of the points, is 4 points out of Dylan. Van Gisbergen is 6 points behind that, and then Barry's going to finish 16th in points. But right now Hamlin goes into this, starts the round of 12 with the points lead by 2 over Byron and Larson. Playoff points are very close between those three, of course, because of that meaning. Bell is 4th, Blaney 5th, Briscoe 6th, Clyde, Bubba, Gumby, Cindric, Pizza Face, Chastain, and Reddick. So literally only 28 points separating the top 12 in points. The cutoff is only separated by 3. You go and take from 6th on through 12th is only separated by 12 points. So this weekend at New Hampshire is very important to go out there, put together a solid race weekend to start this round, because obviously you don't want to put yourself in a hole going to Kansas, and you definitely don't want to be in a hole having to go to Charlotte and the Roval to finish the round itself. So going to be an interesting round, to say the least. So we'll go to the Xfinity. I mean, for Bowman, I guess, yeah, he was the only one that really had a chance. Barry caught on fire, could have possibly done something crazy. SVG was going to be up against it if the way that the schedule, if they somehow or another had a road course in round 1, probably would have won, but we never will know in that sense. And then Dylan, whatever, it's source here, they can go fuck themselves. It's no loss there. Go to Xfinity. Final off week. Pit spotter. Oh, well, good for him. The Food City 300. The race results there. Because there wasn't a driver points winner, keeps things open going to Kansas. Almirola gets the win over Creed, Mayer. The top 7 are all playoff drivers. Quapple, Zilich, who led the most laps and won a stage. Allgaier started on pole, won stage 1, led the second most laps. Harrison Burton finished 7th. Christian Eckes, Jeremy Clements, top 10, credit to him, and Brennan Poole, top 10. So good on those guys. Buckshot Jones was 11th. Nick Sanchez, 13th. Taylor Gray, 14th. Hank Hill was 19th. Butterbean in his Xfinity debut was 20th. Jesse Love was 25th, and Sammy Smith blew up and finished 37th. There were 7 cautions, so 5 for cause. one massive incident late in the race. Otherwise, yeah, there's only 7 lead changes, so there wasn't a whole lot that really went on in this race. But Almirola goes out there. He's been competitive all year in that car. When he gets into it, Creed had a chance to lock himself into the second round and unfortunately wasn't able to, but Almirola goes out there and gets that win. The owner points championship now. He's locked in the 19 car, which right now is 4th overall, is locked in to the owner's points round, second round. And then you have decent after the 2 JRM and a cars, the 88 and the 7, a decent points battle, about 21 points between the 41, the 19 locked in, the 121 there. And then actually even better if you really get from the 1 car all the way through to 11th, which is Jesse Love, which is only 16 points. So, I mean, Almirola going out there winning, not shocking, Josh. They're able to go out and keep the momentum going for however many more races he'll be running the rest of this season. But it also kind of opens the door for some of these regulars, the guys that have been good all year, add to their totals. So Zilich, Allgaier, and Mayer kind of solidify themselves. I think the standout performance probably is, 2, Quapple and Burton, because Harrison Burton moves himself off the outside of the cut and gives himself a bit of a cushion over Austin Hill. 22 points. Yeah, it looks like 22 points. So, considering you have Kansas and then the Roval coming up, which are probably not going to be as ideal for that 25 car, Burton using that experience out there. But what were your thoughts on the Xfinity race on Friday?
I mean, for me, thoughts on the Xfinity race, I mean, it was another opportunity for Connor Zilich to get a win there, and it looked like for a while that he'd be the guy winning the race, but bad call. I mean, I'm not going to say bad call, but just, they decided to pit there at the end, and that basically put them behind on track position there, and just not enough to be able to get up to Aric Almirola there at the end. And the guys that took tires there at the end weren't really able to do anything. Sheldon Creed was the one guy that was able to get to second, but just too many laps spent trying to catch up and pass Sam Mayer there, and didn't have enough time to get to Almirola there. Guys, that stayed out on tires. I mean, Sam Mayer stayed out, was able to get that into the third place finish. Carson Quapple stayed out top 5 there, but then guys that pitted, Connor pitted, and it was only a go back from 9th to 5th there at the end, and just didn't have enough there to get a 5th win in a row there. So, just for Almirola, he wins as a standalone, or as a guy that's not running the full season there. But like you said, the guys that have been up there padded their point totals for this first race. And now we go, I guess, a final off week here for the Xfinity Series before they run off to Kansas and run the Roval back-to-back weeks. So, not really too much happened in this race otherwise, but, there was some, I guess, incidents there, especially towards the end. Jesse Love had an incident. Sammy Smith also had his problems there, and didn't have a good run with the engine problem early on. Austin Hill also had a bad race there, finishing in 19th in that race, which for him, without the playoff points that he vacated after his suspension after Indianapolis, for the speed that they've had, I mean, we'll be real. I mean, they've been one of the 5 best cars in the series otherwise, just on speed throughout the year, or at least in points. But him and his teammate Jesse Love there just didn't have a great run there. Both of them not getting the runs that they needed with the first race here in the playoffs to start out. So the guys that are up top, Zilich, Mayer, Allgaier, all had good runs, so they should be able to be survivable here for this first round here in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to watch them as they go to Kansas, and then of course the Roval provide plenty of opportunities for some of these guys at the bottom of the cutoff line to pull off something with desperation to be able to qualify for the round of 8 in Xfinity.
Excuse me, there eating some nice chips, but from Aldi, but yeah, I mean you look at going into Kansas, Hank Hill's probably going to be trying to make a move. They might have to do some fuel strategy there, or you have to have. You look at who else is there, yeah. Sanchez, who's shown decently on cookie cutters. Jesse Love, who's just been there the whole year. He can win it a lot. I mean, plate races are where they're best at, of course, RCR, but I think cookie cutters are in play. Sanchez won his one race at a plate race, but it's a 1.5 mile track plate race. So, Sammy Smith's, don't worry about him. He's basically toast. He hadn't been doing much of anything anyway, so I think the greater intrigue, though, is the fact that you have such a close battle between Burton, Bruckshot Jones, Creed, Taylor, Gray, Sanchez, Love at the moment. That can flip with a stage win. That can flip with a really bad result. So it's something that we'll look at more as we get into the race next week. Truck Series UNOH 200 at Bristol. And it was the top 2 guys in this series basically led the whole entire day. It was Layne Riggs who led 110 laps. It was and he led the last 110 laps. Heim, who won another stage and led the most laps, finished first and third respectively, with Ben Rhodes, multi-time champion, splitting them in second. Majeski was fourth, Hemrick fifth, so 4 playoff drivers in the top 5. Tanner Gray, Connor Mozak from 23rd, Andres Perez Lara, Corey LaJoy, Matt Crafton getting a top 10 finish. Corey Day, the 7 truck, is a playoff truck. They finished 11th. Honeycutt finished 12th. Parker Kligerman running, of course, for Charlie Henderson's team, finished 14th, a lap down. Rajak Ruth 15th. I had some other people had some stage points there. Ankrum 20th, Enfinger 21st. They go and end up changing. They getting rid of Jeff Stankiewicz, or he left. So shows how bad run will do that. Cole Butcher in his truck debut finished 23rd. Yeah, Burn Cruiser sent to the back. Chandler Smith started 30th, or started 8th, finished 30th, so he's in deep trouble. Jake Garcia got wrecked, and after starting on pole and winning stage 1, no less. And finished 33rd. So, I mean, I think we can just keep it simple. We know that, outside of some craziness at Talladega or I don't know, whatever the hell, Martinsville, it's going to come down to the 11 and the 34, and nothing that has happened so far in their playoff has made anybody, I would think, anyone deviate off of that situation. They were the two best trucks probably at Darlington, and Heim wins. They were the two best trucks at Bristol, and Riggs wins. So, I mean, it's a greater case to say who the hell is going to be the other two. I think that's really where the question lies, man.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. And yeah, I mean, I think everybody's been kind of shooing in. I mean, obviously, I think we both pretty much know that Corey Heim probably will win the championship, but for Layne Riggs, he's definitely proven to be a formidable challenger here to Corey Heim, because it hasn't been Corey Heim this year. Well, it's usually been Layne Riggs here. So championship race, if comes down to it, Layne Riggs could have an opportunity. If Corey Heim, something happens, or somehow they choke a win away in the championship race, certainly it's definitely possible, and they're the one truck that can definitely take advantage of that opportunity should that happen. But yeah, the other two drivers in this, I mean, I think the third driver, I mean, it'll be interesting to watch, but I mean, it's probably going to be, I mean, I'd say it's still going to be the same four guys. So I just can't picture some of these other drivers being able to compete for the last couple of spots. I mean, Daniel Hemrick, Ty Majeski, I think maybe Grant Enfinger could make a run into that championship 4, but I think it's going to, two of those three drivers, I think, will be the other two spots in this championship 4 later in the season. So otherwise, it's just gonna be a battle between Corey Heim, which we think he'll be able to carry on, and obviously we think he'll be in the final 4 and more than likely win the championship. But I think with the way Layne Riggs, the races that he's won this year where he's had success, it was always something had to do with Corey Heim being able to close. So if it comes down to it, possibly we could see championship where there's definitely a scenario where Layne Riggs could end up being that guy at the end of the year. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I think also with the notion of Chandler Smith having to win to get in, Jake Garcia to try and win his first career race to get back in, going into finish this first round. That's something in play. Chandler Smith has run very well at Phoenix over the years. So if he gets knocked out, essentially they can use him as an R&D vehicle. I mean, it's not like they aren't using they're not using Gio Ruggiero as a kind of a guinea pig of sorts, even though he's running pretty well, or using some of them other trucks like the one truck and then the Instagram influencer. But it all depends. We'll see what happens. New Hampshire is a track that I think definitely suits the front row duo, but Corey Heim can win anywhere too. So something that we will look at more later on when we make our picks and preview the race. All right, so we'll go to the IndyCars. They went and made a big announcement here. So a full reveal of the schedule sees 4 races in 5 weeks to start the 2025 or 2026 season. St. Petersburg will be on March 1, which will be a double. They will have the Truck Series as a lead in the day before at St. Petersburg. And the following week, or the following Saturday, will be at Phoenix International Raceway, nowhere near what the track was the last time they raced there. Much different circuit. Curious to see if they'll actually try and go across that apron and come back up. I think that would, the amount of people that'll need chiropractors if they do that for 200 laps will be something. The following Sunday will be at Arlington, Texas, racing around Cowgirls Stadium, AT&T, and the Globe Life Field, I believe, is where the Texas Rangers play. So they'll be racing around those stadiums and the parking lots and I guess highway and whatnot. Then they'll have a 2-week break. Then they'll go to Baba. And then it kind of goes back kind of to normal. Long Beach will be the only race of the month of April. They'll run the IMS road course leading into the Indianapolis 500 and Detroit, one of the crappiest races on the season. St. Louis I think will be a night race, but we'll find out. So they'll have 3 races in a row there from Indy, Detroit, St. Louis. Then they'll have a couple weeks off, go to Road America, another further couple of weeks. They'll have 2-week breaks between Road America, then Mid-Ohio, Nashville, which will be it'll be a night race that'll have the lead-in of the World Cup final. They should have some decent ratings for that. Portland moves to early August. Then they'll have Markham in Ontario taking over as the Canadian round of the series. Then they'll have a doubleheader at the Milwaukee Mile, leading into Laguna Seca. So Nashville had been the finale last couple of years. They drew good ratings. This time they decided to move Nashville based on, the World Cup. You can see the influence in a sense of the TV, with Fox having a bigger investment, of course, in the series. Moving Laguna Seca to the finale for many years was the finale for IndyCar. So in that sense, it isn't a bad thing. The problem is there's been so much date limbo with Laguna Seca that there's no date equity, and fans they're not signing up to go over there. It's not because it's a terrible track, even though it's probably a terrible track for IndyCar because it's too narrow, and they're too fast for the track now. It's part of the reason why they don't run IMSA there anymore. No, I don't think they run IMSA there.
Don't they? They ran this year?
Yeah, I said that, and I'm like, you know what? I think they do. Oh well, can't get everything right. That would actually be pretty good if I actually did get everything right. But I'm curious now. I'm doubting myself. So, oh no, not okay. So yeah, but all right. Oh, they have to run. It's a permanent circuit, I guess. Monterey Sports Car Championship, and it was GTP.
Yeah, GTP
and then
GT3.
GT3. Okay. Yeah, so those is. Yeah, so it wasn't a full race, but they ran one prototype class and then the two GT classes. All right, so my mistake. But to be fair to what IndyCar has put out there in recent years at that track, it's very hard to pass. So you're going from what was a very exciting finale to what will probably be a boring finale. But they're hoping, I guess, with the Milwaukee Mile, which was kind of chaotic this year, and then having Christian Rasmussen come out there and get the win with the tire wear and the like, I think will be a good lead-in. I mean, if freaking Polo does what he did this year, it won't really matter. It'll probably be over by Markham anyways. But you know, you have Markham as a new race. You have Arlington and Phoenix as new races. So those are all nice to have new venues. You also Mexico couldn't happen because of the way they condensed the schedule. Or at least that's what they say. The notion is in the month of April, you only have one race. So I mean, to me, I think that was probably where the opening was. They just probably didn't have enough lead time because it's Mark Miles and IndyCar. Too fucking dumb to do something that probably should have been done years ago. NASCAR wasn't going to go back this coming year because of the World Cup. And considering how stupid things are, they're probably going to be utilizing more of Mexico's venues and Canada and whatnot to get that deal done. So, I mean, bringing Phoenix back, even though Phoenix has been completely fucked up and it's not really a great racetrack anymore, at least adds another oval. They lose Iowa because they didn't bother to promote it. What a shocker. And it's basically become a NASCAR track now. So you have that. You have the Arlington race, which has a lot of promotion and backing. So, they're trying to stay in the Texas. They don't go to Texas Motor Speedway anymore, but they're trying to utilize that area and region. So the Arlington race they're hoping will be all right. It's road. Yeah, I mean, road course after that race at Phoenix, you have those 4 road course races, 2 street courses, 2 permanent courses. Then you have a couple of ovals sandwiched in between is Detroit. Then road course, couple permanent road courses, oval, road course, street course. The street courses, a lot of street courses early in the season. You have 3 street courses in the first 5 races of the year. So that's something to look at too. But I mean, for what they have, I think they said they wanted to run DC. I'm sure Orange Jade wants that, so it'll give them an excuse to go out and waddle around. But maybe in 2027, it seems like is what's going to happen. I think Mexico City and that DC race probably will be around. You have Markham, which will be there. You'll have Arlington, St. Pete, Long Beach. What's coming is that it looks like, I mean, minus the whole trying to condense this whole schedule from basically March to September, minus that whole thing, it looks like a schedule that makes sense. As long as they promote certain races the right way, i.e., Phoenix, and maybe a couple other ones, so that they have a decent amount of ovals and that some of these street courses can last, the Markham race and Dallas, whatever, Arlington race, because you can't compete. I mean, Long Beach is Long Beach. It'll always be that. St. Pete has become a staple. So it's almost like just do what the hell they've done forever and just mirror it instead of deviating off of that path. I think that's one thing. I think Gateway is the mirror of what any other oval that isn't, of course, Indy should be doing. So just do that. Those are 3 races. And then you have Scott Borchetta basically doing the whole Nashville thing. I mean, for what may be missing, and there are some other, quibbles here and there, Josh, I think is for what IndyCar is, and they usually are not great with news, and this last off season was one of the worst I think they've ever had. They've done all right with this, given the circumstances, and I think it's well rounded, and it's going to make Palou have to work for number 5, if he wants to get his 5th championship for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, it's definitely a varied schedule. Definitely like that they packed a bunch of races here in the first month of the season with March 1st at St. Petersburg, and then going to Phoenix a week later. No longer having this giant gap in the schedule where we're waiting a month until it's Barber and then Long Beach and then the Indianapolis month of May. Here now we have 2 new races here, one returning to the calendar after years off the schedule, and one that has had history with IndyCar, and then now an entirely new circuit with Arlington, the Grand Prix of Arlington there. So going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And then, now we have a doubleheader again at Milwaukee, so that's good. And then also, I guess, a new circuit with the Grand Prix of Markham in a suburb of Toronto there. So moving from exhibition place after 30 some years of running there, and now going to a new area that should be interesting there as well. I do like that they're partnering with NASCAR to do a doubleheader with the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series. So I definitely, especially since both races, or at least Cup and IndyCar, are both on Fox or Fox-related networks, there's definitely going to be a lot of play-in between the two. So you'd think that Fox would be able to siphon some of the NASCAR viewership into IndyCar. I think there are a lot of NASCAR fans, I mean, us included, that watch IndyCar quite regularly, and I think more of the fan base can be siphoned off, and I think it'll be an interesting, especially obviously the Indy 500 is a thing, but being on a NASCAR weekend where you're running a full length race without planned cautions and other gimmicks like that, I think it for the fans especially that are there, I think it'll be a welcome change, I think. So definitely a lot of more on-track action, and I think if you're going there for the race, I think you're getting a lot of value, of course, with 3 races in one weekend there for IndyCar and Xfinity and Cup. So should be a great lead-in to the Xfinity race on that Saturday and the Cups race on that Sunday. So will be interesting to see how the racing there plays out. Obviously, last time they went wasn't that great, but obviously, even though the IndyCar has changed now with adding the aero screen, adding the hybrid as well, so there should be a lot of interesting elements. And of course, whatever tire they have, they're having a tire test coming up for this race at Phoenix to help prepare the teams for this. Should be interesting to watch that play out and see how these cars race around that track. So glad that they have the schedule packed up front. So it's definitely seems very balanced throughout the year. Yeah, of course, unfortunately, yeah, it does end early September, but definitely a lot of variation throughout, and there's not really, I mean, other than maybe the fact that there's only one race in April, there's plenty of action otherwise throughout those months from March until the beginning of September. So definitely, I guess, in terms of flow, definitely feels more kind of similar to the amount of races or frequency of races like what we see like in Formula One, for example. So definitely like that there. One other thing I think we got to mention is, with the 24-hour Le Mans, there was a controversy in previous years about how drivers that normally run, because there has been an opportunity for IndyCar drivers, especially guys like Scott Dixon, and other drivers, to go and run the 24 hours of Le Mans. And this year they weren't able to, and they haven't been able to for that. So now next year they'll have that opportunity again with that gap between St. Louis and Road America to be able to run that race. So there should be a lot of opportunities for drivers, especially guys that are have factory ties, with Honda or with other organizations that would want to run at Le Mans. So that's definitely something there for the drivers to be able to do. So yeah, definitely think maybe we see Alex Palou, Scott Dixon go run 24 hours of Le Mans. So be interesting to watch that there. So yeah, hopefully we have a great season. Of course, the cards have only begun to fall in the IndyCar silly season, and now this is definitely part of it. So we'll see all the announcements. I mean, we've already had a ton of announcements here, but as the months go by, we'll definitely until next March, we'll definitely hopefully get a lot of promo from Fox and all that for IndyCar, and hopefully next year definitely get a lot of action, especially earlier in the year.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a good thing. And then also F1 remedied their faux pas with the schedule by moving the Canadian Grand Prix back to 4 o'clock Eastern time. So that, of course, the Indianapolis 500 is what it is. And while it was supposed to be, I think, right at the same time, it'll be around the end of the Indianapolis 500 if everything goes all right weather-wise. So it shouldn't be such a big deal for those that want to watch all three races in the greatest day in motorsports. The spin-off edition now, because it used to be Monaco. Now it'll be the Canadian Grand Prix, which will actually have a sprint weekend, no less. So it'll be interesting. We'll go move to the fantasy and regular, the NFL Week 2. For me, I lost 2 of my leagues last week. Got destroyed in Fall Brawl by, I believe it was Luke. He completely opened a can on me last week. Lost by like 76 points. In large part because I got no production out of my wide receivers. Derrick Henry, Justin Fields went out. I mean, there was really no production out of anybody outside of Kermit the Frog. After him, the highest scoring player I had 15.45 points, which in regular fantasy would probably seem like a lot, but in our league is nothing. He basically equaled me quarterback wise with Herbert's productivity on Monday night. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 40.8 in the blowout Detroit win over Chicago. Just using the WRT and the two running backs, I had 35 points or thereabouts, 46 and 67, or he had 67 points or something like that, just based on those three positions alone. And even with Aaron Rodgers doing jack shit, his jack shit wasn't as bad as mine with Justin Fields. So yeah, I was fucked there. So after winning week 1, getting all the feeling really good about that, it went to hell. Josh ended up one of the best matchups in recent regular season memory, getting a nice 257, 256.96 versus 247.68 with Steve. So, as you mentioned offline, the league here, of course, when you consider myself being the commissioner, and then you have people like Matt, who are bowlers, pretty avid bowlers, and you have Vic and Wilson, who we used to bowl all in our younger days. Josh, you bowl. Joe is a avid league bowler, so bowling scores. So yeah, when you're getting up there and you're having like legitimate bowling scores, it means you're putting up some heat. So Josh and Steve did that for sure. If you're basically winning every week, I think you're putting up decent scores like that. 194 for me the week before isn't bad. That's a decent average to have. I would take having a 194 average for this season. The very close week 1, relatively speaking. There was a lot more deviation here in week 2. Joe gets a win over Jeff. Mentioned Josh to go to 2-0. Vic falls to 0-2. Wilson gets him there. And then Matt falls to 0-2. Manny gets the victory. And if he wins honest to God, if he wins any money, he should pay me half, because I told him to freaking draft Josh Allen, because he would have probably drafted, God knows who he would have drafted number 1. Drafted some running back that probably went down already, knowing Manny's luck. So you're welcome. The 49ers, I mentioned, go out there with no Brock Purdy, no George Kittle, and get the win in New Orleans. Necessary to go out there and get that victory, keep that momentum. So I think it's the 4th time in I think the last 6 or 7 years that they've started 2-0 with 2 road wins. In 2 of those occasions, they've gone to the Super Bowl. And then in the other occasion, they went to the NFC Championship game. So, who knows? Maybe it is one of those years. But I'll take that. Pearsall being upright, and a lot of the guys are able to get through that game. So that's good. Mac Jones goes out there, plays well. Defense, I would say about 50-50. They got the stops when they mattered in the end. D. Winters is looking like a monster. Pass rush definitely at times got to Rattler, but he wasn't rattled, no pun intended. Being able to score 3 touchdowns. Probably one of his best, if not his best, NFL game as a starter. So that kind of is disturbing to me. But They kind of held Darnold down the week before, and then this week they'll go against Arizona, which is a tough test for them. They always seem to have a hard time with Arizona, no matter whether they're playing them in State Farm or if they're at Levi's, which they'll be at this week for their home opener. But yeah, I mean, I want to see what else I have to do. Yeah, so I mean, currently get the standings with 2-0. Which 2-0 teams? Launch game thing ain't loading. Yeah, there you go. The game recap. Standings. So yeah, so we'll get Bills are 2-0 after they went and beat the Jets. Jets and Dolphins are both 0-2. Dolphins lost close to the Patriots. Bengals are 2-0, but Joe Burrow's out for a while with turf toe. So that'll be interesting to see how that works. Baltimore gets on the winning side, so now they're 1-1. Pittsburgh fell to 1-1. Cleveland falls to 0-2. Indianapolis, one of the early surprises at 2-0 with Daniel Jones. I'll let Josh mention his Jaguars. Houston and Tennessee are both 0-2. The Chargers are 2-0 after their win over the Raiders. Two divisional wins, no less. So they'll be playing the Broncos here in week 3. Eagles 2-0 after a close battle with Kermit and the Chiefs. Commanders lose, and they fall to 1-1. And then Cowgirls beat the Giants in a shootout to go to 1-1. Packers are 2-0. Vikings lose on Monday night. Lions get that win as I mentioned earlier. Tampa is 2-0. Atlanta wins. They won on Sunday night, so now they're 1-1. Saints and Panthers are both 0-2. And then you have 3 2-0 teams in the NFC West. The battle, I think that's the only battle of 2-0 teams. 49ers and Cardinals Sunday afternoon. Rams are also 2-0. Seahawks 1-1. Just to confirm, yeah, they are the only battle of 2-0 teams. And then on Sunday Night Football, you have a battle of 2 0-2 teams, and then 1-1 teams on Monday Night Football. So, yeah, that's it for me in regards to for fantasy this week, I got Matt. He tried to make a trade that involved sending Derrick Henry and Ladd McConkey his way, but I wasn't going to do it, even though I don't have a quarterback since Fields is out, at least for this week with concussion protocol, and then J.J. McCarthy is out for 4 weeks, at least 2 weeks with a high ankle. So we'll see what happens with that. I mentioned how bad Spencer Rattler was, but in terms of needing a quarterback and what was out there, unfortunately, that's what I ended up having to go for. Should have probably just drafted Daniel Jones and prayed or something. But Josh, I know that the Jags, they were looking like they had a possibility. They did play Cincinnati. You knocked Joe Burrow out of the game. So in a lot of ways, you'd think they get rid of the franchise, and you'd be able to go out there and get a win. How that all turn out? I know there was a 4th down decision that didn't go your way, and Travis Hunter was having to play a lot more defense than offense too. But I'll let you go and give all the details of the Jaguars home game against it was home, right? Yeah, it was against the Bengals.
Yeah, no, it was at Cincinnati there, but yeah, no, for Jags, I mean, they, yeah, it was interesting because like they had a good start, touchdown to De'Ami Brown to start off. Joe Burrow had a pass that should have been called a fumble there, which was technically returned for a touchdown, but they blew the play dead as an incomplete pass on the field, so couldn't really challenge that there. But yeah, of course, the big one there was the fourth down decision, which actually ended up being the right call. I was smart because the Bengals ended up getting a touchdown at the end anyways. So they made the right call there, but for whatever reason, Brian Thomas I guess he just didn't even want to play because he dropped the ball. Would have been an easy first down for BTJ there to pick it up, but he dropped the ball on fourth down, failing to convert there. And then for Brian Thomas throughout the game just had balls coming his way that he just wasn't able to haul in there, and looked like a perceived lack of effort there. So a lot of people cooking him on social media this week so far. So we'll see if he's able to turn around against Houston here coming up. But it's just interesting to see kind of that effort play out on Sunday. For Jacksonville, they probably could have won that game, should have won that game, but it's early in the season, and you need a loss to get humbled, I guess. So we'll see if that comes back to bite them later in the season. But now I guess the narrative online is Trevor Lawrence is throwing hospital balls, and it's like, man, he's not even throwing hospital balls. I mean, go back to Peyton Manning and Austin Collie there. So those are some real hospital balls there. Because that hadn't happened to anybody from Trevor, so seeming like we're gonna just Mandela affect him or something, and just magically come up with his narrative that he just throws hospital balls. I'm like, yeah, right, but whatever. People can talk, whatever. But big emergence though was Bijal Tootin, who had a really good touchdown, one cut and go type of guy. So you got two guys in the backfield now, Travis Etienne, Bijal Tootin, and you also got LaQuint Allen Jr., who is good blocking on third down. So, got three really capable running backs that all fit the offense. And no surprise, Jacksonville's leading in rushing so far to start the season. So, can't complain with that. That's exactly what Jacksonville should be doing, is running the ball. So yeah, I expect, if I were them, I'd just run the ball the rest of the season. Just Trevor, just hand it off. That's all you got to do. It's a quarterback's dream, right? In my mind, at least. But I guess you got to pass the ball sometimes. But anyways, though, I really enjoy the fact that they are able to run the ball quite effectively. The whole time during Doug Peterson, just had trouble running the ball in certain scenarios. I mean, they did have success in 2022 and 2023 for the first half for their offense being able to run the ball, but short yardage situations, they always just never failed to convert or fail to pick those up. So, for Jacksonville being able to run the ball easily, getting 5 yards to carry for both of their running backs on the ground, incredible and everything. And then defensively, they had problems stopping Jamar Chase, but then they were able to cause pressure on Jake Browning and on Joe Burrow. They're obviously taking him out there. Trayvon Walker, a lot of people question whether he truly should have been the number one pick, but looking a lot better now in terms of his rushing ability compared to Aiden Hutchinson there. So starting to really look like the game-wrecking number one overall pick that people thought he would look like. So pretty good there. And then, Travis Hunter was on defense, and controversial call at the end of the game. should they have thrown pass interference or not. Didn't really look like PI, but they called it PI on the field. So, yeah, very controversial call there at the end of the game. And, I do have to wonder if, they should have Travis Hunter on defense there at the end of the game. That's something, or a lot more than what he is right now. Seems like right now he's a lot better at defense than he is on offense. So we'll have to see. But it was interesting to watch that game, shootout nonetheless. But for me, we'll have to see how they respond to that this week. The Texans upcoming now with a throwback game nonetheless. And of course, remember throwing it back to last November, Trevor Lawrence getting KO'd on the field by Aziz Al-Shire. We'll have to see how they respond to that, and what kind of mentality is Coach Liam Cohen there trying to set for them, trying to help them remember that, and certainly play with maybe a little bit of a vengeance there. We'll have to see, but overall, Jacksonville playing very physical to start the year so far. So looking forward to Sunday, and then of course fantasy. Already kind of talked about it. 257 there. So my guys did pretty well. The only ones that didn't do well, Breece Hall didn't have a good game on fantasy there, and then because Justin Fields got knocked out early in that game, and then Jacoby Myers had an okay-ish game there. So doing pretty good so far. Of course, last year I think I was in the lead after the 4th week of the season, and then it all fell apart. So we'll have to see here. Check back with me in like 2 or 3 weeks or so. Or maybe not 2 or 3 weeks, but maybe like 4 or 5 weeks when we get to like Halloween, how I feel about fantasy. Because it's early in the season right now, so we'll have to see if all that holds up. But otherwise, it's been good start to the fantasy season. Of course, other league and work 0-2 there. Narrow loss. Chase McLaughlin missed a kick, field goal kick, so would have narrowly won there, but that didn't happen. So we'll go on and try again next week. So it was a really good start to the season, I think, so far in fantasy, and we'll just have to go through it and try to defeat, I guess, Wilson here is on deck here for me this week. So he's already proposed a trade to me. He wants Zay Flowers, who's on my bench, for Emeka Ibuka. So we'll have to think about that, but not sure if I want that or not. But seems like the Ravens offense will have to be highly productive because their defense is not really good. So I don't know. We'll have to really analyze that trade there. But it's been a good start to the year so far.
Yeah, I mean, plenty to look at as we move forward. You mentioned Jacksonville, of course, will be playing at home versus Houston. Thursday Night Football, Buffalo hosting Miami. Then, it's a standard schedule slate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 1 o'clock games. So that'll plenty of foosball for your in the early window. Then there's 4 games in the late window, 2 at 4:05, 2 at 4:25. We'll be stuck here with the Cowgirls, unfortunately. I'd rather watch the 49er game, but that's why I have Red Zone. The Denver LA Charger game would be the other one that would be interesting. Giants hosting Kermit and the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, and then Baltimore hosting Detroit on Monday Night Football. Let us move on to the roundup here. So GSP roundup, mentioned it briefly that that Rico Abreu will be driving for Tony Stewart next year in sprint cars. Race seemed inevitable, so yeah. Drive for Tony Stewart Racing. They'll move from World of Outlaws to High Limit. RAR's infrastructure will become the new Tony Stewart Racing. TSR's leasing the RAR High Limit charter. So came together. Yeah, so that Matt Weaver wrote a great story on this on motorsport.com. Essentially, it'll be a 24 with this one. Okay. He's won 9 races, 16 and he's leading the high limit points. So it could be me. They don't have to look run in high limit and accurate. So I mean, essentially the Tony Stewart team. What was Tony Stewart? I mean, it is Tony Stewart Racing, but he'll be merging his efforts with Rico. And we look at this with some of the news with Tony going and getting into a strategic partnership with Elite Motorsports and the NHRA. Elite Motorsports going and buying Josh Hart's Top Fuel car, which may or may not be Tony's ride next year. Tony driving and trying out pro stock cars, of course, with Elite, which is the other big entity in that class. So, I mean, a lot of connections with friends trying to go and make many business things possible. I think in a lot of ways for Rico, at least he's not worried about sponsorship because Tony brings the CarQuest and all them other sponsors over, which is nice. And then they've been friends for years. Me, it's a combination of one of my motorsports heroes and essentially one of my favorite race car drivers for the last, 10 plus years. And a spirit person and Rico Abreu coming together. So hopefully High Limit comes out here to the Northeast somewhere. Probably have to go out to Pennsylvania to go and watch them, but it's going to be an excuse for me to go watch a High Limit race. And hopefully that team will go and do a little bit of outlaw type action and race some other races. So that'll be cool to see. And it's huge. Yeah, especially if Rico can go and win the High Limit Championship here in 2025. In Moto 2 past week, I'm going and open the website there. That'd be a novel concept. Unseen. I'm going to. So who? Yeah, iconic Gogan Alex. Yeah. So in their next race will be at Japan next week, but the results and standings, San Marino Grand Prix, that was Marquez over Bezzecchi, Mark Marquez over Marco Bezzecchi, Alex Marquez, Morbidelli, DG Antonio, your top 5. Only one Ducati or one non-Ducati in the top 6. Luca Marini, 7th place finish. Fabio Quartararo, 8th. Oliveira, 9th. Brad Binder, 10th. They'll go to, so in Moto 2, Celestino Vietti gets the win at home. Barry Baltus, Holgado, your podium. And Joe Roberts ended up 20th with his teammate Ramirez 19th. So bad day for the American racing team there. The points standings heading to Japan for Moto2 Gonzalez, 39 points ahead of Morera and Canet. And Baltu sticks in your top 5. Vietti moves up to 6th in points. Holgado 7th. Ramirez is 11th. Roberts 13th. Who last 3 races have been 20th, 12th, and 19th. Ramirez 19th, 13th, and 11th. So basically mirroring and not running great. World Rally Championship in Chile. Many left him more concerned than answer. 4th overall, almost 1 minute back from winner Sebastian Ogier. A month between this rally and the Central European Rally. The rally Chile sees Sebastian Ogier get the victory by 11 seconds over Efren Evans. Adrian Formeau gets Hyundai on the podium in 3rd. Neuville, the defending world champion, finished 4th. So Formeau was 46.5 seconds back. Neuville 59 seconds back. And then Sami Pajari was 5th. 1 minute 3.4. And then the point standings heading into this 1 month break before the Central European Rally see Sebastian Ogier, who has missed 3 rounds of this championship. Only 25. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rally wins this year. Has a 2-point lead on his teammate Efren Evans. Cali Rovanpera is 21 points back in 3rd. The closest Hyundai is Otanek in 4th, 19 and 39 and 43 points. And then Thierry Neuville is in 5th. Crazy to think. Somebody could miss 3 rounds of the championship and could still win the world championship. Supercars were at the Bend for the Bend 500. That bull strategy gambles. So yeah, 3 pit stops strategies led to the results for the then it was the excuse me, sorry. Air Touch 500 at the Bend. Saw Brody Kostecki and Todd Hazelwood for the Shell V-Power Dick Johnson Racing team get the victory over Cam Waters, Mark Winterbottom for Monster Castrol Racing. And then Penrite Racing, number 19, Matthew Payne and Goth Tanda. So all Ford podium. Will Brown, the defending series champion, and Scott Pye finished 4th. For the best of the Chevys, Nick Percat, Tim Slade rounding out your top 5. In terms of Brock Feeney, he ended up finishing 19th. after pit issues took place for him. But the standings in the driver points, even with that, Feeney right now, it looks like, you won the Sprint Cup with 12 wins and 14 poles so far. The Enduro and the final plus. So right now, the road to the finals, which is their playoff, they only have 10 drivers make that. Kai Allen for Penrite Racing is 18 points out of Andre Heimgartner, 37 out of Nick Percat, and 51 out of Cameron Hill. So there is a little bit of intrigue with that. Otherwise, I think everybody else should be pretty good to make that playoff. But Feeney, well on his way to what probably will be his first Supercars title. And mentioning Tony Stewart, he ran at Reading last week and got wrecked by Doug Coletta. So because Doug Coletta's left front wheel failed, and then that sent him into the left lane, which in turn then crashed into Tony. Tony ends up blacking out in his car. They wake him up, but he ends up losing in the second round. But with the results that took place last week at Reading, he didn't lose that much in terms of points because Sean Reed ended up going and getting the victory, his first career top field victory a few weeks ago. He had to go and have his index finger on his left hand amputated, and now he's goes and gets a win. He's almost like modern day Ronnie Lott. Ended up from the number 4 spot, beat Kyle Sattenstein, then Sean Langdon in the second round. Was laid on the tree, no less. And then the run, Clay Millican, who was the number 1 qualifier, beats him in the semis, and then beats Doug Coletta in the final to get that first career victory. In Funny Car, you had Cruz Pentragon get his first win in a long, long time over Blake Alexander. Pentragon from the number 7 spot beat Bob Tasca, the third, Austin Prock, Paul Lee, and then Alexander, as I mentioned. Prock losing in the second round is pretty surprising. Pro Stock Car was Dallas Glenn. That's the only one I think that was usual. Beat Shane Tucker, Derek Kramer. Anderson laid down in the semifinals probably, and then Cody Coughlin in the final. Very close race there, so I think that's all KB Titan race too. And then Pro Stock Motorcycle, John Hall gets the victory, beats Gage Herrera in the second round, no less. And then Braden Davis in the semifinals, so 2 Harleys. And then John Hall goes and beats his bike owner, to go and get that victory there. So current points after the first race of the countdown, Doug Coletta leads Tony Stewart by 18 points, 33 over Langdon. Ashley, 50 points. The top 8 are separated by 95 points right now, so still anybody's race. Sean Reed gets himself up to a tie for 5th with Clay Millican after that victory. In Funny Car, Cruz Pentragon moves to within 65 points of Austin Prock in 6th. Prock 25 points out of Beckman, 29 ahead of Caps. Top 8 separated by 93 points. Spencer Hyde qualified number 1 in the Head. Jim Head Ford. And yeah, there's 14 cars in that category. I forget 10. And then in Pro Stock, Dallas Glenn has a 62-point lead on Greg Anderson. So that'll be something I'll have to watch to see if it gets out of hand or if Dallas Glenn goes out there and gets that first championship. Matt Smith, after losing to his teammate, the top four now is separated by 9 points. Hall and Herrera 6 points back. Gabson 9 points. Angie Smith, Chase Van Zandt, Braden Davis inside of 100 points there. So interesting. Going to 4 wide, so something we'll have to see how that all goes there with 4 wide. The Indianapolis 6 hours to go, and trying to find IMSA on here. I have IndyCar, World Superbike, World Rally, Supercross even, and I'll go and do that. IMSA, yeah. All right. The track TireRack.com. I said WeatherTech. It's Tire Rack battle on the bricks. So we're really working well today. Magnus Racing confirms with you Halen to join team. Oh. And then Rubens Barrichello's son gonna be racing for the Vanderster Aston team. So all right, credit to them. Dudu Barrichello. So that'll be in. So he'll be, will make his injured Rory Vanderster versus Anthony McIntosh and Valentin Hasse, whoever they are. Magnus Racing with the Aston addition of John Parter and Spotter and Spencer Pumpally and Jan Halen. So that'll be a solid team. They have a good chance. And then, so yeah, for the Petit Le Mans. And then 2 GTD Pro, Mustangs, Multimatic, blah, blah, blah. Drivers will be named later. Okay. Event details for the Battle at the Bricks. Scroll down. Full weekend there, of course. There'll be 12 at GTP, 12 LMP2, and then 29 GTDs, 11 in the GT Pro category. The usual suspects of BMW, of course. BMW announced that they're not going to be continuing with Team ALL. So it'll be a new team running their program next year. The Lamborghini is actually going to be at this race with Grosjean Mortara. We don't know if Porsche Penske will be running in both IMSA and WEC, or if it'll just be IMSA, which would mean they wouldn't have automatic bids into the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Then there's 12 entries in LMP2, 11 engine in GT Pro. Because it's a 6-hour race, they're not running. A lot of these teams are running 2, especially in the pro category. In the pro categories, a lot of the teams are running 2 drivers. Couple of the GTP cars, the 31 and the 93, running 3 drivers. In GTD Pro, there's 2 cars running 3 drivers. The number 1, Paul Miller, BMW, and then the number 75 for Hable. And Brock Feeney actually will be there, so it'll be interesting to see the champion-elect of sorts for the supercars making run here in America. And then, of course, 18 entries in GTD. Well, next to last race, of course, after this race will be the Petit Le Mans. So points and where everything is at will be at a premium. And then F2, last but not least, will be at Baku this coming weekend for the tried and confirmed Lawrence Van Hoopen and Martinez Stenshore for Baku round. Okay. So that's for them. So then right now Luca Fornaroli, 21 points out of Luke Browning, 30 points out of Richard Vayshore, Jack Crawford 4th in points, Seb Montoya 9th, Kushmini 14th, Max Easterson, one of the only ones who hasn't, he's one of the only ones who's run the whole year and hasn't scored points because he sucks, so probably won't change. All right, so now we will move to Formula One. And let's see here, Josh, you had first dibs last week, and all right, well, we were close on the trucks there. I had Riggs, you had Heim there, so we had two guys that probably could have won the race, but we didn't pick the winner in Xfinity, and then I guess the tires decided to play a role in Cup. So for me, we'll do F1 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Phil goes with Oscar. So we'll go with Piastri, Norris, Fish Lips, podium there. And then wild card, I think, for a top 6 result. I don't know if you can really say it's a wild card, but based on a team based that they're on the midfield side, I'll say Gabriel Bortoleto as a outside top 6 shot there. How about you, Josh? Who do you look at for this weekend's Azerbaijan Grand Prix? Do we stay McLaren, or does the momentum of the Italian Grand Prix stick with Fish Lips moving forward to the streets of Azerbaijan?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I think with the similar speeds, I think Azerbaijan, I'm gonna go with Max winning here this weekend. And then I'm gonna say that Oscar Piastri gets second here. And then yeah, say Lando Norris gets another podium. You did.
Same drivers, just different order. And if Red Bull can keep that momentum, it's probably building towards next year. And the new, of course, power unit and new car regulations that we'll have for that. Okay, so now we'll go to the Truck Series event, the EJP, Team EJP 175 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The entry list will you have Brent Cruz driving the 1 for Tricon, 02 Jason Alexander, whoever the hell he is. Has Constant Contact as a sponsor. Stephen Malazzi in the 2 for Rayum. Breidinger with Sunoco. Benning driving the number 6. Patrick Emmerling, Northeast Modified Star driving the number 7 for Spire. Michael Shelton making his debut as a crew chief of the 9 for Enfinger. Ekius driving the 16 for McAnally. Mason Massey in the number 20 for Youngs. Blake Lothian for 22 in Rayum. Tyler Tomasi for Rayum. So Connor Jones actually running again for Nice. Michael Christopher Jr. driving the 2nd Halmar truck. Derek White driving for MBM. Caleb Costner continues in the Mike Harmon 74. Jack Wood, yeah, and Carson Quapple will drive for CR7. It says Shelton is a crew chief. I figure it'll be somebody else. And then, of course, Corey LaJoy in the 77 for Spire. So, Josh, you get the first, or wait a minute, yeah. You get the first pick here for Truck Series. Is it Corey Heim, or is it Layne Riggs, or is it someone else?
I'm going to go with Layne Riggs here. I like his chances here on a flat track, like New Hampshire. So yeah, I'll pick him as a wild card this week. And then I guess as a or not as a winner this week. My mistake there. Wild card. I was already thinking ahead to the wild card. Wild card. Yeah, go with his teammate there, or well, not teammate, but a Ford teammate there, and Ben Rhodes.
Pretty good. Former series champion Ben Rhodes. So, for me, we'll just do it. Corey Heim and wild card selection here will because there's one truck that'll go home. I'm not sure what the points are like. The 62 is a limited truck. 97's also 69. Is there the 6 truck is another one that's probably more likely that Benning will go home. I'm going to go with Carson Quapple as my wild card. And then in terms of, well, yeah, is it the end of the Truck Series? Yeah, it is the end of their Truck Series first round. So based on that, I say that means that Chandler Smith and what's it called, Jake Garcia would get eliminated. Do you see any deviation off of that, Josh? Or all right, so we both have Chandler Smith and Jake Garcia eliminated on truck playoffs. Cup Series at New Hampshire. Starting round 2 of the Cup Series playoffs. The Mobile 1301 at New Hampshire. Usual 36. And trying to see where, yeah. Bunch of different ones though. I am going to choose. I mean, Gibbs right now, this first round, won all 3 races in the first round. But I will say that I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Ford heavy here. I'm gonna go Ryan Blaney as my pick to win. And then my wild card. Oh, damn it! I thought I was gonna be slick. Freaking had to be right there. That's the right perfect place it could actually be. All right, so my wild card this week. I'm actually. I'll go with Brad Keselowski. So,
Boston Red Sox.
yeah, wearing the shocks kind of makes me nauseous, but whatever. Ryan Blaney to win and Brad Keselowski. No, wild card. Josh, you get the last licks here. Who do you see as a winner and wild card for this weekend?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one here. Man, I don't know. I will go with Ryan Blaney winning this weekend here. Oh well, you picked Ryan Blaney. Oh, I know that. I was looking on the list here and I saw Ryan Blaney, but no, I'm gonna go with Joey Logano here, which should be interesting. They haven't won or been up there, but it's a flat track, so I'm gonna go with him winning this weekend here. And wild card, well, I'll go with Carson Hocevar here this weekend. The Hurricane, as Lee Diffie likes to say.
So yeah, we'll have Pizza Face, so Joey Logano to win. Essentially a home game for him from where he was born, and Hurricane Hocevar wild card. Alrighty. So Josh, doors open. Time to talk about all things iRacing and gaming in the sim segment.
Yeah, so today on Twitter, the iRacing NASCAR 25 game finally released some actual footage of the game being played, or at least of the game in action, and looks pretty good. So didn't see any actual gameplay on video yet, but I'm sure that'll come probably tomorrow or something. But excuse me there, but yeah, just the quality of the game looks pretty good so far, and yeah, looking to get this game soon. So yeah, game trailer came out today, so looking forward to playing the game here and seeing all the different modes, all the career modes there. So yeah, looking forward to that. iRacing week 13 was last week. Ran some GR86 or no, BMW M2 at Bristol. That was pretty interesting there, watching that. Playing that was pretty fun. Did a stream of that just for fun. Yeah, that was pretty interesting, running multi-class series with the GR86s and the Mazda Miatas along with BMW M2s at Bristol Motor Speedway. So that was pretty funny doing that. One of the big changes on iRacing was the Charlotte Roval, putting in the 2024 configuration with the hairpin there, and that's going to be a tough one there. The corner entry there is just so weird, and then the hairpin turn, not a real big fan of it right now. And a lot of people in iRacing are kind of saying the same thing. It's just not a real good corner to build speed off of, because the previous one, you could always get a good run back onto the oval there. Now this is a hairpin. It just seems like some people were saying it just seems like NASCAR just put in that corner to create more chaos for Cup and Xfinity there. So, and I guess Chuck is racing there also. So, yeah, that was gonna be a tough one there. They released Mexico, which we talked about that on there. So they've got Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, which is they say won't be in NASCAR 25, but I wonder if they're going to put that in as an update later on, just because they weren't able to get it ported over to the game in time for that. GT4 series, they've added the Ford Mustang GT4 car, and I think the Mercedes car there as well. So got that. Production car challenge now has 2 series. The production car challenge is 25 minutes long, and there's also a 2-hour production car sports car challenge there as well that races there. NASCAR, obviously NASCAR Cup and Truck at New Hampshire this weekend. You got let's see, the 87 cars at I just saw it, where was it? 87 cars. Hold on. And Xfinity is at IRP this weekend, so that's interesting there, or this week. NASCAR 1987 cars at Charlotte this week, so that should be interesting. Gen 4 cars at Auto Club Speedway here. Got that. And let's see, IndyCar this week. So new to IndyCar now, they have the Dallara IR 12 here, or IL 15, so it's the Indy Lights car, so that's a part of iRacing out. But you got the IndyCar Fixed Oval Series at Auto Club Speedway, and then the IndyCar Open Series at Long Beach this week. On the open wheel side, the Dallara IL 15 at Laguna Seca here, and I think also at Iowa Speedway here on the oval side. So that'll be fun to run here. Been trying that car, should be interesting. I think it's a good step between the IndyCar and the previous Pro Mazda 18 that they were running in IndyCar there. So that's a good one there. On the sports car side, GR86 at Charlotte Motor Speedway 2025 Roval. The production car challenge at Laguna Seca this week. The IMSA iRacing series at Sebring this week. GT3 regional tour at Laguna Seca this week. GT3 Asia Pacific tour at Okayama Circuit, and then GT3 European tour at Oulton Park International Circuit there. The IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge series at Indianapolis. I think they're saying it's at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but I'm not sure if that's just a remnant of the previous thing there. Let me see here. Yeah, in September 27th, that's in a couple weeks, so in 10 days from now, so that's still there, but I might have to run that. We'll see. That's the TCR series with the GT4 cars on there, so may have to do that. We'll see. Yeah, iRacing. Let's see, iRacing news, other news happening this week. Yeah, new Sim UI, of course. And yeah, that's basically it. I mean, obviously, a lot of people talking about the NASCAR 25 trailer here, which that finally came out, of course. So hopefully we get more updates there, see some actual gameplay footage, and see other people kind of give more PR for it, so people get into it as the game comes out. So yeah, looking forward to playing that eventually. So Yeah, of course, had a quick stream over the weekend, which you can find at Twitch TV USO2. Go on there. Go find my streams, streaming Bristol in the GT4 series there. So BMW M2 there. So interesting running that in week 13. It's pretty fun doing that. Twitter page at JP Huffline. Grip Shit Podcast YouTube page. Have our streams up there. Of course, new photography page, Josh Huffline Photography. Go on there and look at that. Pictures from Coke 0400 and some rocket launches on there as well. Yeah, that's it for me this week. And yeah, looking forward to another week of fantasy football, and hopefully you can continue this run that I'm on right now.
Yeah, I'll definitely see if you can keep doing that. What you're doing on the driving side in the sim, but then also if you can continue the momentum on the fantasy side, but also for your Jags in a divisional matchup there. 49ers hoping they'll go to 3-0. Always have a hard time with the freaking Cardinals for whatever reason, but we'll see what they can do in their home opener. You can find the Grip Strip podcast on GSP 1428, which is the audio feed on personal page and audio feed. You can also find it at philipgmatthew.com. PGMGSP28 Instagram, Blue Sky, PGMatthew28 on Twitter. You can also find the Grip Strip podcast on podbean.com and basically anywhere you can find podcasts. You can find the Grip Strip podcast. We will be back with episode 284 next week. The Grip Strip podcast. Talk about everything that went on in New Hampshire, Baku, NHRA, IMSA, F2, etc., NFL, and all the news and updates elsewhere in the world of motorsports and sports we'll talk about here on the GSP. So for Josh, I'm Phil. Thanks for listening to Grip Strip Podcast, and we'll see you next time.